And we are live. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Right as you brought the show live, WrestleMania ended. So good
Hey,
timing.
I have great timing. Totally knew it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bookful Lore. I am your hostess, Zora from E3, here with my lore masters, Rhojinquest and HP Fox, where today we're going to be discussing something that's actually quite new. If you missed our announcement on Thursday, we have decided to take a bit of a different direction with what's going on with Tricorn Isles, where it is set now 40 years into the future, where some changes have been made to the Tricorn Isles, as well as some uh, power struggles, militant power. There's new islands and places to explore. Lots of new things have opened up now for all of us to kind of dive into. So today we're kind of be talking about that. So for those who missed it on Thursday, Rojin, why don't you give us a rundown of the setting for Tricorn Isles?
Sure. Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure that I get a Google Doc open. That way, if anything is said here that sparks an idea, I can just not lose it in my mind like I normally do. But TV's on my mute button. But yeah, so on Thursday we decided, like as Zora said, to move into another iteration of the Tricorn Isles, something that was pretty much waiting in the wings for the second act of the campaign if the first group of characters had continued to make it through their adventures successfully. They would have seen what was revealed on Thursday, but unfortunately a lot of fucking around happened in their early adventures, and it was time to find out. And after looking at what was going on, it was very clear that a TPK was going to happen, or something near to a TPK, as the chances of survival were rather low. So we decided to move it forward. And what had happened after like this big bloody battle had occurred in the other parts of the world, Avara Ravon, who is Cassius' sister and probably the more psychotic of the two, acquired control over the Goldspar Metalworks, which was Pearl's grandfather's company and the family-run business for like the generations that her family had been around. Purchasing it from her half-brother, kind of solidifying the Ravon Trading Company and her plans for her own gain, giving her a foothold more in Tidelight. Well, once Tidelight was recaptured. After the deal had gone through and some time had passed, information had reached Avara that Tidelight had been attacked and had been taken by the demonic forces that were just pouring in through that portal from the sinkhole where the Goldspar mansion was at. Gathering her power and her naval fleet behind her, Avara set in, recaptured Tidelight, and then moved forward to make plans to stop the full ascension of the old one that had been taken, basically dormant in the center of the Tricorn Isles for a couple thousand years now. With the fall of the group, though, those who were looking to awaken him were able to do so, which caused the temple that he was sealed in to rise up from the waters, and thus pushing the storm away. revealing quite a few land masses inside the storm itself, along with some floating ones as well, and peoples inside of it that had pretty much been frozen in time. Now, what exactly happened to cause this, nobody knows yet. That's going to be something that's revealed in the campaign itself, as some players have said that they are interested in having their characters investigate what had happened that caused the storm to occur in the first place, and why the people who were caught in it were frozen in time. But Avara and her army were able to defeat the old one in the center of Tricorn Isles, sealing him again, and pretty much giving her enough credibility and enough respect to solidify herself as queen of the Tricorn. And then in the 40 years that follow, she has pretty much made the Tricorn Isles her own personal kingdom. It is very militaristic, it is very orderly, and it is very brutal to anyone who breaks the Queen's law. And so the Tricorn Isles is now, it's this military superpower as they patrol the waters around the isles themselves, keeping out pirates, keeping out hags, making sure that nothing that would disrupt the Queen's law and the Queen's peace make it to landfall on the Tricorn itself. That's pretty much what's been going on in the 40-year time frame in the Tricorn Isles that you all know.
Would you say this is a pretty strong, very influential militant power that is throughout all of the Tricorn Isles, or just those isles themselves? Because I know you mentioned before that there are other islands as well as floating islands. Does she have influence there as well?
Not as much influence as she would like. These are still technically free nations outside the waters of the Tricorn, as the Tricorn Isles are just that collection of three isles that everyone has come to know. There is a larger archipelago that surrounds them. A lot of the islands in this archipelago are technically not claimed at the moment. There isn't really any sort of humanoid sentient life that has claimed dominance over it. Right now, the only two land masses that people know of, or that people have made contact with, are those in the Twin Vale, which is one of the larger islands in the archipelago, and in the Cerulean Field, which is the nation of peoples of the floating islands. While they know of each other and trade, and feelings towards one another are at a neutral point at this time, Avara, being Avara, is always looking for means to turn things in her favor.
Sorry, my child keeps getting back, so I'm running back and forth while I'm with this. So I apologize if there's a small delay.
It's all good. I was worried that Evie was on the mute button.
No, and she's back up again. I swear. Okay. Okay, that's very good to know. So do you have any plans then for some pre-made, like from other campaigns that we've made up, some races that we're going to be coming across? Or are you going to make something new for some of these unique new places for us to go visit?
I am fiddling with some new races right now. I will say that I am fiddling right now with a race of individuals who are more dinosaur-esque than, say, a dragonborn or a lizard person. So like, Triceratops people, or things like that. Not ready to make an appearance just yet, but it's an idea that I've been fiddling with, especially since I said that the Twin Vale is home to a lot of like large Jurassic style reptilians out in the wilds.
I'm going to tell you right now, to all the players, they are not allowed to be a dinosaur race. Because if I have to draw that shit, Fox, I'm looking at you. Bruce, I'm looking at you. You're the two. I will not draw as much as I want to. I will not do dinosaur races.
I'm going to be a feathered dinosaur, and I will draw it for me, please.
You're going to be a feathered raptor.
A feathered raptor, yep.
Oh my god. It's not because I don't want to, it's because I personally think I lack that skill. Y'all give me a struggle anyway when I have to do animal forms. But I'm used to humanoid. Oh goodness. Okay, well, it'll be extremely interesting to see.
When I thought of the race, I was actually thinking Zoro's gonna hate me for this.
Well, I think it's really just knowing if I have to potentially draw that in the future. Oh boy. We'll see. Someone's gonna be some obscure dinosaur watch, and I'm gonna be like, son of a bitch. Or you could just be a human with a dino head. That works too.
You just look like the King of Dinosaurs from King of Fighters.
There you go. There you go. That works. Okay, perfect. So what is, and I apologize if you mentioned this before, I was back and forth a little bit. With the events that happened in Tidelight, such as when the hells opened up, I know that Navar did defeat it, but whatever happened to the hag and everything that was trying to overtake that town? Did they manage to escape, or is that something that we're gonna
She was actually on the ship that attacked the first crew. That was her ship.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, because I made some rolls and everything like that while the fights were going on. And information about both Echo having the blessing on her and a couple of the soldiers recognizing Cannonball's description got back to her. And so since she has an infatuation with Cannonball, and because Echo was technically carrying around at the moment just a plague that would at some point manifest into a avatar to birth the plague demon that she worshipped onto the material plane, she quickly set out after you.
Is she primarily after Echo and Cannonball, or Cannonball specifically?
Echo for her goddess, Cannonball because of her infatuation.
Ah, gotcha. I assume we have yet to learn what has happened afterwards, since we're all kind of figuring that out still.
A couple of people have given me their rundown as to what happened, and for those of you who have and you have kept it dark, I appreciate that.
Well, it'll be interesting to learn that as well. We'll have to do some future talk shows with everyone and learn a bit more about those characters as well.
Now, once everybody gets their once everybody gets me their information, I'm actually going to have everybody talk about it on an episode of Tricorn before we kick off. We're going to do a little we're going to do just a little synopsis as to what happened to everybody's characters.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that way it'd be kind of fun to learn more about that as well. Fox, did you have any questions? I'm sure you have some lined up.
I do. But just real quick before we get into the questions, you had mentioned that there was some new islands and floating islands and stuff that have appeared from within the... We did go over what those places were in that call we did on that episode of Tricorn, but do you want to kind of give us a rundown of those islands here as well?
Yeah, I could see if I remember what I said, because I've been changing notes since we had that call on Thursday. But yes, so the Twin Vale itself is a large landmass in and of itself that is mostly wooded, just like pretty much wooded land from coast to coast. Very Fey influenced, very dangerous for anybody who just sets out into the woods themselves, not really knowing where they're going. So it's a very lucrative business for anybody who has like an adventuring group to go out and to take care of situations in the woods, or those who are pretty much wayfinding and creating maps for people. As 40 years have passed, nobody knows if anything outside the wood or outside like their own like time freeze, if anything has changed, if they were frozen in time and the world continued on, or what had happened. So people who are looking to make money and make a name for themselves as map makers and as wayfinders have pretty much flooded into these isles now that the storm is no longer keeping out outside influence. But there is also a very large mountain range that covers the northern part of the island, and again, much like the forest, it runs coast to coast. And this thing runs tall and it runs deep, and there are while there are like numerous city states spread out amongst the woodland area of the Twin Vale, there are also various dwarven city states inside the mountains. Now, why it's called the Twin Vale is there's a large crevasse that goes straight down the middle of the island. Almost looks like at one point in time a large being came through and just chopped the island in two. There's a bit of a separation, though there is a large bridge that connects like the wooded area from east to west. So there are still ways to get through it. But yeah, it is a very deep, very dangerous place to explore, but those who have the courage to do so are going to find lucrative business opportunities, as well as lost ruins and, like I said, dinosaurs galore.
Dinosaurs are always nice, unless they're on Schultz.
T-Rex.
The cities and stuff that are on the Twin Vale that aren't the dwarven centric cities, are they like central to certain races, like elven cities, or are they a mixed bag where different areas kind of ruled by different races?
It's a bit of a hodgepodge. I can't go into detail very much because it's something you will learn as people start to explore. But a lot of the city states that are formed are very self-sustaining. Like, one city has its own rules, you go to the next, it has its own rules, its own not lawyers, but kings, magistrates, whatever. And it varies from place to place. Some are very race centric, others are just a hodgepodge of individuals. And it's a part of the chaos, as there is always somebody looking to spread their influence and spread their city's power in order to gain more of a foothold on the island itself, instead of just making it just a collective of city states, to bring it under some sort of unification.
Be really interesting to explore that area and see how these city states kind of pick up after being frozen for so long. I'm really interested to see if...
You got muted.
Oh, sorry, Discord is having issues. I'm really interested to see if they just pick up right where they left off before they got frozen, or if that freezing in time changes their outlook in any way.
So for the most part, when the 40-year time freeze happened, there was a situation to where pretty much all city states that had already existed and knew of each other reached out to one another and pretty much called a ceasefire until everything got situated, and they started, reaching out to outside lands, trying to get a grasp as to what had happened and how much time they had lost. And then within this 40-year time span, it's pretty much been bringing all these city states current, making sure that, any of their methods, any of their magic, any of their smithing techniques, anything are brought current from what they knew before the time when they got frozen in the storm. But now that everybody is starting to get situated and starting to learn the current ways and getting caught up on current situations, current politics on the outside, things are starting to get back to people thirsting for power, people wanting to just unify these city states under one banner.
Really, really cool to explore that. Now, you also mentioned there was some floating islands. Can you tell us about those a bit?
So, unlike the city states of the Twin Vale, the Cerulean Field, on the other hand, is a very dignified. It is overseen by a council of 3 ancient dragonborn. Ancient dragonborn, as in the means that they have wings. They are winged dragonborn. They are not like the typical dragonborns that you would find out in the world as it is today. They are much older, much more primal looking than their cousins of the current year today. The Cerulean Field, as to where the city states of the Twin Vale were always about exploring and expansion, they are more about a focused knowledge. These are peoples who seek a more domesticated and educational look to the world than going out and waging war and conquering lands. They are more focused on the betterment of their society as opposed to betterment of them. They sort of have this very, we are the pinnacle of everything. Those below us on the land are savages in our eyes. They are unrefined. They are not as evolved as we are. And while they have this sense of looking down on those who are underneath them from the cloud's perspective, they have the magical knowledge and, almost in a sense, the technology from their artificers to sort of back that up, as they do have a fleet of airships at their command. The only way to actually reach them is by either airship or by some means of flying creature who can maintain the endurance and able to reach the islands themselves. The islands have a natural sort of defense amongst them, as the wind currents around the islands are very, inhospitable to anybody trying to fly through them. Anybody who wasn't raised up there, or any creature that hasn't really developed the strength in order to fly amongst the turbulent winds, sort of finds that danger and a very legit threat to their life exists once they break that altitude. So most people,
Airships, then, do they struggle with the winds up there, or is
They're-
it something special to help navigate?
their specific airships are designed to be able to course through the turbulent winds without an issue.
Okay.
Anybody coming up with their own airship, on the other hand, depends on the maker, depends on what they've retrofitted the for. So at the moment, the only safe means of travel is to board one of these airships, and the price is rather high for the technically uninitiated.
So at least there's a passage if people need to, if you're on one of those specialized ships, I imagine.
Yes, if you are on those ships, your passage is safe. The winds or anything will not provoke any sort of danger.
Would you say
But-
then that the primary race then is Dragonborn, or are they just specifically only Dragonborn?
The three,
like,
the,
exclusively?
the three ancient dragonborn that sort of like sit on this council are just one of many winged races that do call
Okay.
Cerulean Field home. It's not necessarily dragonborn only, though most of the peoples you will find that call this place their home have wings or have a means of flight in their in one way or another.
Curiosity, because we've only had one on the show so far. Would you say that Erd kobolds are pretty common up there then?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
While Erd kobolds are a special thing, kobolds in and of themselves tend to be chaotic little guys,
Yeah.
and it kind of goes against what the peoples of the Cerulean Field would consider. I'm losing my words here, but would be considered. They would technically be a social faux pas. While they do have wings, their behaviors and their antics are a bit way too much for their way of life.
So those that manage to get enough money to purchase voyage on one of these airships and visit the Cerulean Isles.
Cerulean Fields. Or it's the kingdom itself is called the Cerulean Field, but
Gotcha.
mostly anybody going up to it just calls it the Cerulean.
Okay. So once these people reach that destination, how are they treated as outsiders? Is their access limited, or are they?
They are pretty much treated with very close scrutiny. Until you go through pretty much a process to prove that you are not some sort of person who's only there to cause chaos or to bring chaos to their peaceful way of life, you are under constant watch and constant scrutiny. Once you've pretty much met their standards, you've gone through a process to show that you are not there to just fireball the entire region. Then they start trusting you. They start trusting you, giving you a little more leeway. In a sense, they're very much like the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout. They don't believe that people that are not from the clouds should be wielding any sort of magic or any sort of magic items, because they've seen the destruction that these items can be. These items can cause in the hands of the uninitiated.
So if an outsider goes to this place and breaks some of their rules, what then happens to the outsider?
Depending on what they did to break the rules, it could be anything from just a massive fine to expulsion from the Isles to just a summary execution, depending on what was done and how much damage was done.
Good to know.
The way that you can look at it is it's almost in and of itself a militaristic style of government, sort of like how it is set in the Tricorn, though it's more focused on keeping the peace for its own people. They have no desire to spread out to conquer other lands or anything. Their domain is the sky.
Yeah. I look forward to visiting that place one day as well. Maybe if we can ever get the money to do so.
The money and the prestige to do so.
Just make the ship sing, enchant it.
That too. Though it sounds like those winds may just knock us out of the sky if we try.
Guess we'll have to find out. Now, would you say that there's still opportunity to, obviously we've talked about the floating island, but is there still plenty of opportunity to explore underwater civilizations as well?
Oh yeah, most definitely. The underwater regions have not been hindered in any way. If anything, they've been expanded since the storm is now gone. Like, so if you find a means to explore underwater, by the way, there was a complete way for you all to explore in underwater when it started. When you got that fort, that iron door that you had like found underneath the water line on the beach, if you were to have opened that, you would have discovered a fully working gnomish submarine that you could have used to explore the ocean floor.
Oh, trust me, I was gonna come back to that. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
We'll come back
There
to
was a
this.
fully functional submarine down there for you.
Dang. I mean, we only needed 2 people that needed it. That's fine. We didn't need everyone else. This is fine.
This is fine.
So how, I remember you said too that the fog or the clouds around, like kind of the ring around the Tricorn Isles has expanded. How much further would you say
It's
has
gone.
expanded, or is it, okay, it's gone.
It's, yeah, the storm is completely gone after the old god that had been raised up. The first thing it did was it dispelled the storm. The storm was primarily there to keep them in place. And so once he was free, first thing he did was dispel the storm in order to begin preparations to leave the Tricorn. But unfortunately for him, Avara had other plans.
Has she learned more about her brother, including Zatrot? Since Cassius has been very popular.
She's already known that. She knew about the whole Zatrot ordeal from campaign 1.
Oh.
She was actually with them for a while.
Oh, okay.
And she even fought alongside the group when Cassius turned into the Void Dragon for the first time.
Oh,
Because somebody had the brilliant idea to eat a heart.
Yeah. We were like in the middle of a city or something as well.
Oh yeah.
when
Smack dab in the middle of a city. Yeah.
And he turned into a rampaging void dragon in the middle of that city. And she was there to bop him on the nose with a newspaper.
Is she the only one that he's afraid of at this point? Or is he give his Zatrot as well?
He would much rather sit down at a table with Zatrot than he would Avara.
Oh my, okay. And that's his only sibling, correct?
Yes. Yeah, they were twins, technically, not identical twins. Obviously, she's a black dragon, he's white dragon, was white dragon. But they were twins, and they grew up, so to speak, together. There's nothing about him that she doesn't know.
Interesting. Great source of information.
She's a source of a lot of things.
Now, would you say that she stays in Twilight the whole time, or does she still pull quite a bit?
Depending on what suits her mood.
Okay.
She is a chaotic individual at times. So at times you may see her roaming the city or out on, the ocean on her flagship, or who knows, paying a visit to some nieces or nephews, or to her own children. Just whatever suits her mood for that day. That's what. And anyone be damned who tries to tell her that she can't do it.
How often then would she put matters in her own hands, basically get her own hands dirty? Say someone has gone against her enough times to where she brings them to her own twisted justice, or is it just kind of whenever she feels like it?
If anyone is unfortunate enough to have their name learned by her, they're going to have a really bad time, as she has no problems whatsoever getting her hands dirty or carrying out the execution herself. Some even think she enjoys it.
Oh,
She is a very cruel yet cunning individual. It's sort of like the combination of genius and madness.
Yep. She's got a lot of tricks at her disposal, and I'm sure those are well beyond what I'm familiar with at this point, because I really only know about her from the stuff that I've created, and that was a long time ago at this point. I mean, at that time I created her as a player character, and she had a lot of nasty tricks then, and many years have passed, and she has become something much more. So I'm a little terrified at this point.
What was her class?
She was a shadow sorcerer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and she was a shadow sorcerer that favored metamagics, like subtle spell and stuff like that. So when stuff was blowing up around her, you didn't necessarily know that she was the source of it.
So you kind of have a feeling when you see that very unnerving smirk across her face.
Yep. Yeah, the smile was always a giveaway.
She'll be both interesting and terrifying to face. That's for sure.
Don't face her. That's all I have to say is, if you ever come across Avara, or you find yourself like opposite of her, don't cross her. Because at this point in time, she is the equivalent of a level 20 player character.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So face her when we're all level 20. Got it.
I don't even want to do that.
Come on, you coward.
But let's put it this way. I had already designed something for her if you actually did make it to Stormbreaker Landing, and you were privy to the signing of the contract for her when she purchased the metalworks from Pearl's half brother. Things could have gotten very bloody if anybody had tried to stop that. She has a very twisted looking pistol at her disposal. Sorry, I'm trying to stop my cat from eating my wire now.
So, since we're talking about the queen still and the tricorn, we know that the Crone's Cauldron is still around, right? At this
Somewhere.
point, somewhere.
The cauldron
so it
itself,
moved.
the cauldron vanished when the storm did. Though, to be fair, the hags were looking for a way to dispel the storm themselves. Like, that had always been one of the main focuses of those who belonged to the Coven of the Cauldron, was to find a means to either get through the storm or to make the storm vanish, as they felt as they were imprisoned here. And the moment that storm faded away, so did the cauldron.
So then, as we're traveling around on the waters, there's a chance that we may run into some hag ships.
Hag ships, the cauldron itself, you don't know. The hags have happily settled into now a mythos of their own, as to where they aren't technically prevalent on the seas, but there's always, stories being shared every now and then by sailors saying they've seen hag ships, they have encountered hag ships out like in a certain part of the sea, telling people to stay away from it. Some people believe it, others treat it as some sort of like crazy sailor's tale, but they are most definitely there, and they are still that force to be reckoned with.
Now, are you going to put their new location on the map, or is it more
Nope.
of a fun, let's find out and then place it there?
The cauldron no longer has a place on the map, as the cauldron moves. The
Right.
cauldron goes where the cauldron wants.
Unsettling at all. Oh my gosh. Now, just for curiosity, backtracking a little bit about this new dinosaur race, would there be variants to work with specific stats, such as the flying ones, the ones that are usually more power-based as opposed to speed? Okay.
Though
Now,
I
it's
will say there are no T-Rex, because stubby arms. There is
So what
no
you're
T-Rex.
telling me
It's
is you could be a Spinosaurus, since they don't have stubby arms.
true.
Just a really awkward head.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm working with now, is like what the ratio is from dinosaur to humanoid there is. Is it just like they have a dino head, or are they going to be a bit scaled, kind of like how the lizard people are, or like how the dragonborn are? And I'm trying to, or are they going to just be kind of like a Tyrus, where it's just the head and a human body? So it's like I'm throwing things around in the air right now to figure out, which direction to take these people.
I know I joked about that earlier. It'd be so weird to see a human with just a dino head. It's like that one show with BoJack. It's a human but a horse's head. It's like
Yeah, BoJack Horseman, yeah.
Whatever that is, yeah. It'd be interesting. Would have to do some research to see how it would look visually, because I'm sure it's been done before in the past, so we'll have to take a look at that. Now, are there any certain restrictions, things that we wouldn't normally find in these areas as opposed to other campaigns?
How so?
Like specific races or magics, anything like that.
So magics is an interesting one, because there is going to be a new school of magic that is introduced later on in the game. It's, how can I put it? It's like necromancy if necromancy was on steroids. It is going to make it is going to be making 2 appearances. It's going to be making an appearance in the Tricorn, and it is making us an appearance in Weewa.
Oh, not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna say Destiny Forge because of the
Nope.
bigger Isles. That would make sense.
Nope.
But yeah.
This
my-
has nothing to do with the vampires.
Keep that out of my country. Oh no. Can you give us a little teaser of what it involves as far as like certain an ability or something that's capable of doing?
It's something that it's something that I'm messing with right now, and one of the things that I've come up with is something called Witchfire, which is a necrotic flame, is like the best way I can describe it. It's both an enchantment and a spell, as to where anybody afflicted with it will be taking both fire and necrotic damage, but there is like a residual thing going on after they've been hit. It's sort of like how we have like the Hellfire variant for Eldritch Blast. This is more of a necrotic variant of that, as to where Hellfire will continuously just burn and burn and burn and burn. Witchfire is going to burn and it's going to decay. And it's got sort of a ghoul effect, as to anyone killed by it will raise as an undead, or it has an easier chance to raise as an undead.
That's interesting.
Was this magic fairly common? As common as like the knowledge of it, or
It is not.
extremely
It
rare
is
that no one
rare.
know?
It is
Okay.
rare. Well, it's rare at
Might be it.
this point in time. I mean,
Okay.
if you can find a means to become trained in it, yes. But even the training itself is very taxing on the individual. It's not without sacrifice. Most of the people who will come across this sort of magic are sorcerers and warlocks.
Interesting.
Does sound like it has that kind of sorcery vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also very much one of those things to where a wizard's gonna look at it and be like, yeah, no, I know better than to touch that, where the sorcerers and the warlocks are just like, let's just turn it up to 11.
Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. Does that mean you get a ghoul as a familiar?
I'm actually, funny enough, I'm not fighting, but I'm thinking of that in terms as to if something is slain by the witchfire, does the undead that is raised, are they tied to whoever killed them, or are there a means away, or is there just like the traditional necromancy magic to be able to bind an undead to you?
See, now that just reminds me of a meme I saw recently of if a necromancer was a parent, and it's basically parenting all the ghouls. As if the ghouls were basically their followers / familiars. And
Yeah.
it's just really funny. Well, that will be very interesting and terrifying, actually, to come across on it. For sure. So have you already, I probably already know the answer to this, but have you given Fox a map yet? The
Nope.
expanded map.
I have not, because I have been rather busy this weekend. So
I mean, it has been 2 days, so.
the moment I find a thing of any sort of free time, I will definitely get the expanded landmass layout of the Tricorn to Fox, as well as the Twin Vale, as that is where everybody's going to be starting.
It's okay. In the meantime, I still have a Dragonborn and a Snake Lady to draw, so.
Yeah.
Wait, what dragonborn do you have to draw?
The one that I'm going to be playing for Tricorn.
Oh, that's right. I was like, wait, what? A part of me
Did
was
you mention this before? Because this is news to me.
a part of me was like, wait, are you drawing the dragonborn that you have all designated as Captain Sexy from Weewa, or what's going on here?
I've thought about it. I've thought about it.
Oh my god, hi Sigmund.
I really
You're all horrible.
considered drawing that scene where he was just like leaning right into Chloe, getting all up in her face.
When he just said hand it over bait.
Yep. She was getting weak in the knees.
Blushing.
Yep.
Oh,
I will
that's hilarious.
probably draw Avara at some. I've been wanting to draw her like fully for years now, but I just never really have, because there hasn't been a whole lot of incentive to. But now there is.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have a face to go with the big bad that we're clearly going to face. And we're all gonna die. Now she's still very much in charge of the Rhojinquest company, correct? Still very influential over that.
The militaristic side of the Rhojinquest company. She was pretty much running an illegal arms company behind her brother's back.
Oh my.
And now with her having full-on control of the metalworks, it's no longer a secret, as the metalworks has been repurposed from pretty much just making fine works of art and like jewels and jewelry to full-on making a military industrial complex, as they are now the ones that are working the metals and spinning everything to make cannons and rifles and pistols and pretty much anything that needs to have some sort of metallic retrofitting is now the backbone of pretty much her kingdom. And while Cassius may not agree with it, not much he can do, because he is not going to try to challenge his sister for anything.
Yeah, even if he has the power to challenge her, he doesn't have the will to challenge her.
Oh my.
She beat that out of him a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And she knows that she can just bring him to his knees. She reminds him of it constantly.
It's terrifying considering he's a demigod.
He's a demigod, yeah.
Boy dragon?
At this point in time, he is a demigod, and for all intents and purposes, she may have like the means of not aging, but she's still technically immortal, and he fears her. And I honestly think that's the reason why I think that's the one thing that keeps him from ascending. Is
His
her.
sister.
It's his sister. Is that fear that he has for her is the thing that keeps him from ascending.
Gotta take that bee out. She's holding you back, clearly.
Yeah, have fun with that.
It's a void dragon, it's fine.
Her middle name is Scorched Earth. There is nothing she will not sacrifice in order to gain victory.
And she made that abundantly clear to Cassius when she sacrificed their parents right in front of him and made him participate.
Oh, this is very Doflamingo.
Participate in the sacrifice, nerd.
Yeah, this is Doflamingo backstory. I don't care. I want to be powerful by parents. Oh boy, this is not fun. Okay, yeah, that'll be very interesting to see what she looks like then. Yeah, because that's gonna be terrifying. So now I'm anxious to see how everything unfolds. But of course, we've got 2 weeks, just shy of 2 weeks to kind of see that all come together. And I know we've been talking off to the side like certain ideas and whatnot. I think for the most part, everyone knows the racing class that they're doing, but there's like 2 or 3 of us that are like wishy-washy at the moment. But this definitely helps kind of set the tone and everything. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to add, Rhojin, or that you want to ask, Fox? As we are making this a slightly shorter episode tonight.
I guess just one other, probably relatively minor thing. Now that the storm is gone, and travel to and from the Tricorn is opening up, how common is it for other continents to travel to the Tricorn for trade or tourism or whatever it happens to be?
It's getting to be a little more common, though. Getting into the Tricorn waters themselves, outsiders need to pay technically a entrance fee. If they are not some sort of subsidiary of the Ravon Trading Company, they are heavily taxed for whatever goods that they are bringing in or the goods that they are taking out. So while trade and travel are now open, the Ravon Trading Company has made sure that they are still the dominant powerhouse in regards to regulating any sort of trade or travel that sort of comes in and out, as they sort of lost their edge the moment that storm went away.
Yeah.
And remind me, they trade in anything and everything?
Anything and everything. For like the entire time the storm was going on, the only people who can get through that storm were the Ravon ships. And nobody knew exactly why or how they did it. But yeah, like anybody else who tried to do it was lost. Like they were never seen again. So either they found a way through or they were destroyed in the storm itself.
Watch, they all, like, most of them figured out how to get through, but they were just like, hey, there's a whole other world. Why don't we go back?
I'm not going back.
See, that, or there was nothing bad about the storm at all, but there was a Ravon blockade around the whole thing, and they just sunk every ship that came through.
Yeah,
that could have been a thing too. But it's like the only ships that ever seemed to go through and come back were the Ravon ships.
Yep. That's just funny. It's a mystery for the ages, but it's really funny to think about
the
series where
the only people
stories were just fake.
Yep, the only people who know what really happened are those on the Ravon ships, and they are sworn to secrecy.
They had to sign a waiver. FDA.
It was more signing a summary execution if they ever spoke about it. Like there is no getting away from the Ravon company. Once you are a part of their company, you are a part of the company for life. Even if like
Binding as a devil's contract.
Even if you retire, you are still technically considered a Ravon employee.
What's that saying? Part of the ship, part of the crew?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
For all eternity. Till the end of your days. Oh, that's pretty funny. Well, all right. That's still very much looking forward to what you have in store, as well as meeting these new band of characters. Who knows? Maybe we'll be the complete opposite. We'll be besties. We'll find out. Like Weewa.
I will say that Weewa has taught me, not Weewa, but Tricorn has taught me one thing. Do not give roles to groups, because it devolves really fast. Because some characters don't want to be, don't want to roll, but they're forced into it, and then it just causes, grief for that. Or it causes a lot of stubborn headbutting because certain characters, are from certain backgrounds and they don't want to be taking orders, or they do things a different way. So it has taught me as a DM to make sure that if there's a ship and there is a crew, Player characters can be part of the crew, but they're not going to be senior officers.
Not unless
not a bad
everybody
idea.
gets their own ship.
Yep. Or
Yeah,
or if it's discussed as a group as to who is going to be what. Because Jenka was kind of thrown into it, into the captain's role, even though Zoro was away at the time.
Yeah, I think we had it all sorted out and functioning well, and then once we lost Rory, everyone just kind of got shunted into positions, and we had to fill those gaps, and it started to fall apart after that.
Well, because then people kept either not wanting to listen to the other, or kind of do their own selfish things, or point the finger. It just kind of once rules were in place like that, it all kind of spiraled. While funny enough, with Mass Effect, technically you guys do have a captain of the ship, but I think you guys have, and of course you guys have a role on the ship as well, but the way you guys went about it was entirely different, where it's just like, yeah, no, this is fine. We all know what we need to do. And I guess the proper term would be to trust each other to where you guys were okay with that 100%, as opposed to the group still developing and still building that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Raucus cringes anytime somebody calls him captain. He tells everybody, do not call me captain.
I think,
and yet when they call anyone else captain, your eye twitches.
Yep.
I think the Mass Effect crew had the benefit of kind of getting to know each other before they were a crew together as well.
True.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were kind of stuck on Omega. Kind of.
Yeah.
No,
we were marooned together before we were a crew.
Raucus sees that Raucus has this thought that his title isn't captain, it's dad. He's pretty much the dad of the ship. That's it.
He's Space Turtle Dad.
He's the dad of the ship, and that's why he always drives.
I will turn this van around if you all don't simmer down. No,
I will turn this station wagon around if you don't stop behaving.
Which again, shenanigans have happened, but it's all been really good and fun, to the point where it's not like things falling apart. And of course, you all have had your differences every now and then, but it's just been very interesting because of the relationships beforehand. While again, this other one was more, we were still building, and it just kind of dissolved from there. So it'll be interesting with this new setting, same place, new setting, with new places to explore, to kind of add on to that and see how we all develop from there. No one being captain. Unless they're captain of their own junkyard. That's a title they earned, god damn it. Does that mean we're still gonna see the possums? The Parsnip family?
I will say now, because they are possums, they cannot be killed. I refuse to kill possums.
They're the cockroaches of the
No,
of the
no, I absolutely love personally, I absolutely love possums, and I would love to have a pet possum. I can't bring myself to kill them.
We should have all been possum characters.
Not to mention, Cass would break up with me and disown me if anything happened to Penelope and them, because those characters are actually Cass's creation. Like, Penelope was a character she played in another D&D campaign that we had run with a group of friends. So if I made anything bad happen to the Parsnip family, I would probably be single.
Well, I did a quick search, and I'm very sure they're very much like orcs, where they have very short lifespans because they're mostly fighters, but if they don't live the fighting life, they actually live longer. So possums live 4 years.
Yeah.
However, in captivity, if used for pets or used in some sort of, captivity thing, whatever, it's up to 10 years, and that's it. I'm like, huh, interesting. I literally did not know that, but they are constantly killed by coyotes, foxes, and owls and stuff like that. Their lifespan on average is 4 years. I'm like, huh, learned something. So yes, they are Fae, so Fae are wonky litter years anyway. So
I have it's like
accurate?
I have a feeling that Fae are technically immortal. They just kind of do like this thing to where they sort of exist for a while and then they pretend to die and they fade off into obscurity for a little bit and then they come back as a different person.
Yeah.
It's not that the all the Fae know your name. No, it's just you're running into the same Fae throughout existence. It's just they keep reinventing themselves.
Does this look like Bob? Nah, that guy has a mustache.
Exactly.
What you're saying is Null is Fae.
Null is a Fae. Yes.
I tweeted this though.
Mhm.
We knew Null was a Fae.
He is all the Fae.
He's an archfey though, isn't he? If I remember correctly, he's an archfey.
He is a specific kind of Fae.
Oh, okay.
He's up there with Archfey, just not with the title, because he is a Fae that has been pretty much tasked by the librarian to keep an eye on things. He's technically a watcher, though he interferes way too much. Yeah, he interferes way too much.
Lives forever, but he's a little shit sometimes.
Yep. It's like I'm not supposed to interfere, but I'm an interfere.
That is very Fae of him. So.
Because like when I first introduced him, I introduced him as my Q. He's not supposed to interfere, but he's gonna be there and he's gonna mess with things.
Yep.
Just both times have been because, well, Cassius touched something, and then the other being he didn't want to have to pretty much live through reruns again.
Yeah. Then it was just like, yeah, we need to get some shit done. Hence Destiny Forge too. Which reminds me, there's a handful of things I still send you, Rhojin. We need to talk about, including any character information you may need that never popped up in Destiny Forge 2, but will probably, entirely up to you, pop up in Destiny Forge 3 where we are. So
3 or 4.
Yeah, so I'll have to send you, because there's still more of Ash's family that people do not know of or have met. So
yes, please send me her extensive family line, because if not, I'm gonna start creating relatives.
Yeah, I can think of 2 specifically. The rest could probably be something fun you could put together, but there's 2 that are very much like no one's gonna like them, and it's on purpose.
I have a feeling that some of her family are still technically considered part of the quote-unquote old guard when it comes to vampires.
Oh yes, very, very old bloodline, very old money, like longest nobility bloodline kind of scenario. Therefore, I'm entitled, I am superior, blah blah, that kind of bullshit. So, are they technically evil? Necessarily, they're just really big assholes that do shitty things.
And it's like they're the vampires who see humans as food,
cattle,
only food,
yeah.
Cattle.
Yeah. Yep. So that'll be interesting. So I am really loving how we're kind of crossing over some stories, but characters from different stories. So to learn more about Cassius and his sister through this will be very interesting, as well as who knows what other characters we will come across in this one. So it's always exciting when you do name drop something and we see all of our facial reactions of just like, oh my god, this is so exciting and terrifying depending on the character. So it'll be interesting to see who we come across in this new expanded world of Tricorn. So thank you very much, Rowan, for letting us pick your brain as much as we can for this. Of course, we will have much to discover and learn once we enter the world together, both me and Fox as players. So it'll be a lot of fun. And then I guess going from there, we'll see what the future show holds for some more Tricorn lore, as well as extra stuff to elaborate on.
It's going to be interesting. If there was ever a point in time to where a multi-campaign sort of setting would take place, it's definitely Tricorn, because there is way too much land to explore in one campaign.
like Destiny Forge 2. There was a lot of places, but we did not.
You didn't even touch.
Either we didn't touch or we didn't stay long in. It was just like it was mostly Dagger Tree, and
Dagger Tree.
Dagger Tree. I was trying to think.
Dagger Tree, Felllock.
It was fuck. It was the place that ran us through the mud, and we were only there like 3 days. And it took like 10 episodes. Malorsic,
yeah.
Yeah, that was like in game. It was like 3 days. I think we suffered there, but it took like 10 plus episodes because it was just a
you guys were getting destroyed left and right. Yeah,
it was both
Malorsic
really
was a
fun
meat
and
grinder.
Yeah.
Don't touch the water.
Yeah. What? What? Yeah. No, that was both really fun and challenging and extremely terrifying. So.
It's okay. We'll get to explore all of those places in campaign 4.
I mean,
campaign 4 is going to be fun.
It's a much
campaign
better place,
4
though.
is going to be so much fun. As a DM, it's hard. It's not hard. It's like there are just times where like we can go now, we can do it now, we can go now. I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. We're not doing that. I don't have another day to run a game, damn it. And if I did, it would be a Fallout campaign. It wouldn't be another D&D game.
Oh, goodness. Yep.
Which I will say, Tricorn 2.0 almost became a Fallout game. But then everybody started talking about ideas on what can happen with the game. I'm like, everyone seems to love it. Let's go ahead and keep it that way.
See, now you're making me second guess my character, because I was very much going to have a character that could very easily be put in a Fallout campaign.
Oh no, it would be a full-on Fallout. It wouldn't be D&D Fallout. It would be Fallout.
Oh, I know, but the character concept is like, yeah, that's Fallout. So
if there is one popular media game that I can run, it would be Fallout. I can't run Mass Effect. I can't run anything like freaking Dragon Age, but Fallout wise, it's like, yes, I can lore nerd that game in order to make something.
I completely understand that. That's like if someone handed that over to me, like, hey, do a Fallout game. I'd be like, no, I don't know jack shit. I know people were underground for a long time. They wear fancy suits, came back and realized the world went to shit. That's all I know. And you can pet your dog.
I mean, you saw me struggling trying to do anything in resemblance to a Dragon Age game. Like that, I think has to be the most painful experience for me as the DM was running that, because I felt like I had to toe the line on so many things because there was already so much established lore in an established world that going one way or going the other would have caused meltdowns.
This is why I was terrified to do Mass Effect, but I think once I got my footing after a few episodes in, I was like, okay. I was like, what can I do that break lore, but no one can say, can you do that? And be like, nah.
We'll start the lore.
We're gonna start some lore.
Speaking of starting the lore, for my stream tomorrow, I actually may start the Mercy run for Mass Effect.
Oh, share screenshots, please.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I might jump into the game today to make Mercy to get through the character creation, and then maybe get through the opening mission, only because everyone's seen the opening mission
Eden Prime. Yeah.
On Eden Prime. Yeah, it's
now,
like, oh, here's
PC?
the tutorial. Huh? Yeah, I'm doing PC.
Are you gonna find a mod for her to have braided hair, or do you think?
Oh, there's already braided hair. There's already braided hair for it. Yeah, there is one thing of braided hair for Mass Effect 2, or not Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 1. I posted screenshots.
Right.
Yeah, I posted screenshots of my first Mercy creation when I had tried to do the
Oh, it's been a hot minute. Yeah.
The run so long ago, and then ended up was like burnt out or distracted or something. I don't remember.
Fair.
Yeah. It's up I posted it on the 23rd of February.
Oh,
I
shit,
posted
that
a
recently?
a picture of the first attempt of the playthrough for Mercy
In the Mass Effect or in the
in the Mass Effect channel, in our Mass Effect
other?
channel.
Okay. I will have to because I completely forgot. So yeah, so lots. See, guys, we love our games. On of hours in the day or days in the week for us to run. God knows how many campaigns. It's both depressing and probably a blessing in disguise, so we can actually sleep at some point.
If I ever at any point in time had like enough financial backing to just go full time, I would probably run more campaigns than I am right now. But with it means to having to work, there is absolutely no chance in hell that I have enough time to be able to run anything like that.
Yeah,
Work always gets in the way.
100%.
Like if I
D&D streamer would be
if I somehow won the lottery or whatnot, and it's like I was financially set, yes, I would just go full time.
yeah,
I would,
oh,
I would just, relax, full-time streaming, like do a ton of like D&D and tabletop RPG content. Because it's sad to say, but it's the only time I show any sort of emotion. Like I am
it's very exciting.
very melancholy, very monotone in like my day-to-day life. I don't really show a lot of emotion. The only time I show emotion is when I'm playing D&D.
It's the struggles and stress of every day, and what's beautiful about D&D is that it's an escape.
Yep, D&D is it's weird
and just play pretend and don't have to worry about the bullshit stress of life.
D&D is like the only time I feel comfortable coming out of my shell. Anytime else, I'm just very introverted.
Yeah. Which is why I wish we could be full-time D&D streamers. That would be the dream.
Yeah.
Oh, would love it so much. Do it like just every other day, but we can at least
D&D is
but,
7 days a week.
Oh, wait, we do every other day. Never mind.
We do it every other day. We have shows Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and
Yes.
we had something on Sunday.
And it's still not enough.
It's not enough.
It's still
Speaking
not
of that, next Saturday, we've got
yes.
the Extra Life show, which is going to be 10 hours of Weewa, with special donation stuff. And both of you ping me as much as you can to get the damn bingo cards finished, so we can have bingo cards set up for that.
Sorry, Rosa.
We haven't forgotten. It's just a lot of, as we just mentioned moments ago, the BS
Work.
of the day. Yeah. So it's and we already have. So this could be a good segue of doing the sign off a little bit here, but we are planning in the near future a couple of little mini campaigns / one shots, like mini. Very similar to like Chimera Collective, where one of them is we are thinking about in the nearest future doing another Kids on Bikes one shot, kind of like a 4 or 5 parter, where Sugar Love Cass is gonna be the DM and kind of run us through that. So don't know what we're doing just yet for that as far as how many people and what we want to do in times. It's more of just it's in the works. And then we have a show that will be very similar to Chimera Collective as far as mini campaigns that will be kind of continuous with rotating characters, whoever's able to come, of course, that is based off the Cyberpunk Red system. So we will have another very interesting sci-fi-esque kind of thing to kind of explore. So yeah, that'll be run by Tiltbot actually too.
To answer your question, Fly by Might, we got started here 8 some odd years ago,
something like that. Yeah.
Like I got
8 or 9 years ago.
I got hit up by a friend who was participating in one of the first like one-off shows here. And recruited me to pretty much DM Destiny Forge Season 1, which back in the day was Gibbering Mouthers. And Fox was on that show with me, and we brought in Groods, that was like their first ever D&D situation, along with Azarin and Tiny. And that was my first time on this channel, was running Destiny Forge campaign 1 with that group of people. And then it just started spiraling off from there. To where we did more games, we did more one shots with RPG mixtape and everything. And then 2018, we technically took the channel over, like something like that.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because we were in the midst of campaign 2 when the reins were handed off to us.
Yep.
Technically, no, it was in between. It was just before the start of. No, wait, no, you are right. It was a few months into campaign 2. You are correct. Yes, you are correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because the original sense was we were actually going to technically move campaign 2 away from this channel, and it was going to be on my channel because something else was going to replace it. And then things happened and things fell through, and then instead we kept the channel here, and the reins were tossed over to me and Fox to start off with, and then Zorro joined our team a little after as well, and we've just been causing chaos ever since.
Beautiful chaos.
Yeah, it's been an interesting road. The friend that originally brought Rhojin into this channel, he was a mutual friend, and he and I were moderating in a different stream, and he was doing a charity game one day and asked if I wanted to be a part of it, and that was my first experience playing D&D, was that charity game. And then it was right after that charity game, he was like, hey, I've got a friend that I'm talking to that I'm trying to get to DM a game on this channel. Do you want in on that game? And of course, I was hooked at that point. I was like, hell yeah, I want in on that game. And 8 years later, anytime Rhojin's thinking about a new game, my answer is still the same. Hell yeah, I want in on that game.
You keep signing up for the abuse, and I'm not, and I don't know why. I put you all through the ringer with things, and it's just like there are games and there are sessions where I see like tears welling up in people's eyes because your pet NPC died or something like that. And I'm like, why do you keep coming back?
That's how you're
gonna bleed.
If we weren't crying at those moments, then we wouldn't be invested in them. But we continue to cry, so we continue to be invested.
Because it helps immerse us into the world where it feels like it's actually happening. Like, I remember that I had moments of everything: excitement, frustration, sadness, just kind of depends on the situation. But I remember crying for the very first time, or I got teary-eyed when Tyrus went away, and then I full-blown was having streaks down my cheeks when we wrapped up Destiny Forge 2, because it was over. And I was like, I don't want to leave these characters. It's so beautiful in the world. We were glutton for your punishment because the punishment is beautiful and we love it.
Like, I can't do it, but a part of me seriously just wants to say I want to bite the bullet and make a Fallout game. But I can't. I can't do it. I have to be a responsible adult for once.
You can maybe do that when one of the other shows ends.
When my plan right now is when WeWa ends, the Fallout game will take its place. Or if another game abruptly ends for whatever reason, or somebody needs to step away from a game or whatnot, Fallout will take its place. Hell, Fallout may even start off as a one-shot.
Oh, there you go. Just a feel for
Because
the campaign.
It's like my idea on things is it's either going, it's like it's slotted for where WeWat is, but also I don't really think Would Be Heroes is going to be something that's going to be a massively long campaign. Like from the way that the Kids on Bike system is set up, it's not really meant for, you know, hundreds of thousands of episodes as like a D&D campaign is. It's meant to tell a story, because there isn't necessarily a level up system. There's not necessarily a progression system for that game. It's all about the story. And I think, you know, once that story is told and everybody's to a comfortable spot, you know, it can wrap up. But yeah, it's just like, being the Fallout nerd that I am, I have always wanted to run a Fallout game here, especially after we did Glow in the Dark. When we did Glow in the Dark, I was like, I need more of this. I need more of like this Fallout-esque style, you know, chaos that was just that we just got that slight taste of when we did Glow in the Dark. Any plans of Curse of Strahd? No.
We don't normally we do everything homebrew, to be completely honest.
There was a
Curse of Strahd.
There were 2 Curse of Strahd games that were run early on in the life of this channel, but like if somebody else were to run Curse of Strahd, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I don't run any published content. Anything that I do is 110% homebrew. Especially since like once like published content gets to a certain age, everybody knows what's the cornerstone of the plot hooks and everything is, either from they've watched other games or they've read the book themselves or whatnot. So like a lot of like the suspenseful plot hooks are already expected. Everybody knows, you know, what's going to happen if you go into the death house. Everybody knows how you get betrayed in there, and everyone knows that, you know, what technically is the Curse of Strahd. So it's sort of like,
don't tell me, I've been in the dark for so many years. I'm so dependent on making sure I don't know shit.
Yeah. So it's like,
that being said, if there are those out there that do like really rely on those modules, that isn't us like speaking out against them or anything.
Oh no.
It's just
I've
style.
played Curse of Strahd 3 times, and I had a fucking blast every single time. So the modules definitely have. We just tend to run our own creations here on this channel.
Yeah, they're like nothing against, you know, the written content or people who like running the written content. I myself have always been and always will be somebody that 110% homebrews.
Yeah.
It's how I was quote unquote raised in AD&D. We did all homebrew stuff. And as like when I started taking the mantle as being a DM, that's what I did. I ran with 110% homebrew all the time. And it's just,
we clearly love.
it's just what I know.
Yeah, it's always been a fun ride, especially with what people come up with, because again, we've rotated even different styles. Like I mentioned before, Chimera Collective, it's D&D, but it doesn't feel like it. It's horror steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not feel like a D&D game. So definitely like rotating the systems, but when we do play the old school D&D, it's completely different and unique. So it's always really exciting for us, especially who's been here long term, because then when things start crossing over to different stories, we're like, that's the thing we did in this campaign, and it just becomes exciting and personal at that point. So where you feel a little special. So it's definitely fun. So definitely trying to like do different systems, even the same system. It's always fun because we know what to expect. So yeah.
I'm in particular looking forward to our next few Would Be Heroes games, because I just now got caught up on season 2 of Invincible, and oh boy, that's a show.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I would like to take inspiration from The Boys. Oh God, no.
So you're telling me to put a Homelander into the game?
I'm telling you right now, I don't know why I continued to watch that show. It was like a train wreck, but I had to keep knowing what happened.
Oh, I love
I'm
that
not gonna
show.
lie.
I love that show.
I do too, in a twisted way, and I'm not gonna lie, it is exactly how superheroes would act if they were real today. They would be pompous
yeah.
assholes. They would think I'm better than you, and it's like, are they really superheroes? Oh God.
It would, you know, just be like if anybody somehow gained the ability to cast magic. There would definitely be a class system separation between those who can and can't cast magic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So would-be heroes is our it's more X-Men based. As far as like, I mean, I'm still gonna have its darker moments for sure, but it's so far it's very,
those are coming.
It's very fun.
Those are coming.
Oh yeah. I mean,
we're
X-Men
only
did
on
have dark
episode 5.
moments. But like, X-Men had plenty of dark moments. I'm talking about the cartoon, but the cartoon also had its as well. But
speaking of which, X-Men 97.
Oh my God.
Perfect. I love it.
Oh my God. Yes. I saw that on Disney Plus, and I'm like, yes!
Every time they show Gambit in a crop top, Cassie screams.
Oh, it's fun. So yeah.
Is would-be heroes kind of like mutants and masterminds? No, would-be heroes is on a system that was taken from Kids on Bikes, which is a non-magical version of the Kids on Broom system. It's very story and narrative heavy and less about combat and killing dragons and stuff like that. Though, because it's me and because I can't, you know, resist putting violent situations in games, go look at our mouse guard games. You need proof on that. I have like technically incorporated a story-esque combat mechanic that sort of was revealed in the last episode.
Yeah.
Like I don't roll any dice whatsoever in that campaign. Everything that is done is based off of you guys. Your rolls is what determines what happens if any one of you get hurt or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like I'm just there to twist and turn that story around and base everything off of your guys' decisions and on your dice rolls. With that said, that's why I was saying I don't feel like those games are necessarily something that is meant to run hundreds of episodes. It's more of a mini story than it is a movie.
Yeah. And yet we can't get enough of it.
I can't get enough of it because do you know how hard it is to DM a game that runs only once a month? I have enough problems running a game that only runs two times a month.
Yeah, we'll work on that. But yeah. So that speaking of which, poor way to transition into it, that this is not our only show on this channel, as we just went into deep discussion about as Monday. We have our longest running campaign, Destiny Forge, run by Rhojin, where we are on campaign 3. We just did our time skip, so we have moved to a different part of that campaign as far as a location with somewhat new characters. But yeah, so that's exciting. We've just barely scratched that surface for that. And then Tuesdays, we do have our Star Wars 5e game called Tales of the Outer Rim from Tiltbot, who runs us through that. That is upcoming this Tuesday, I believe. And then we have our alternating Thursday games, where we have Tricorn Isles, which we just talked about. We're kind of shifting gears 40 years in the future now for that campaign. First episode for that shift will be 2 weeks from now. And then our alternating Thursday game is Mass Effect Prisons, run by me, where I put everyone through the Mass Effect universe well before the first game starts, and everyone either falls in love and romances stuff or just gets into trouble. You know, very Mass Effect. It's great. It's pretty on brand. We have our 2 alternating Saturday shows. We have Wayward Wanderers, our Pathfinder 2 Extinction Curse campaign, run by Azrin. And then we have our, again, revamped version of Withered Waste, run by Rhojin, which somehow, after 3 episodes, we are all best friends and we are all thirsty little bitches.
Thirsting over the same character.
And yet we haven't fought yet. That's how these work.
That's because he hasn't shown interest in any of you yet.
Yet. You said yet. That's a key word. You heard it here,
That's
folks.
that's when the mean girls start creeping in.
Gonna have to turn on my bard charms.
Oh, goodness. So, yeah, and then, of course, we have our first Saturday of every month show right here, Behold Lore, where we talk about many different things, whether it's characters or just the lore behind all of our shows and campaigns. And then we have our last Saturday of every month, our Would-Be Heroes Kids on Bikes campaign, based off kind of our Mutant X-Men-esque kind of style, run by Rhojin. And like I mentioned before, we have a couple of little mini one-shots coming here in the somewhat future of potentially Cyberpunk Red, run by a separate Kids on Bikes game run by Sugarlove.
It's actually Kids on Brooms.
Oh, it's Kids on Brooms?
It's Kids on Brooms.
Oh, we're playing wizards.
You're playing
we're
wizards.
We're a hairy wizard?
Like, what, because Cass has been giving me insight as to what's going to be going on, and it's interesting. It's also it's actually going to be Cass's first time in the DM chair.
We're a hairy wizard. Oh my god, this is going to be good. Slytherin all the way. Anyway.
Oh no, it's not going to be like that.
I know.
What she what they told me just threw me for a loop when it was first brought to my attention, so it's gonna be good.
Is it more like
Skipmander,
where it's more adult?
I can't spoil it.
Okay,
I can't spoil it.
That's fair. All right, fine. So yeah, and then actually, it's been a hot minute since we last talked about it. Where are we thinking rough timeline for the next installment of Sonata?
I'm thinking about the summer.
Okay.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I've been redesigning it for like the 7th time. But I am hoping to get it up and running probably around the start of summer.
Okay, well, there you go, guys. We'll keep you in the loop. It is it's exciting because we just recently started spring, so we're just a season away. Speaking of seasons, bringing in my spring Eladrin. Got to bring her back for the 4th installment. Got to rotate them Eladrins. I'm having fun.
I probably could have had it going around the tail end of winter, but I mean, we all know how badly this year screwed us at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd hold off until I was really comfortable getting it going.
Yeah, that might have been smart considering how the first 2 months was rough, and then a couple of us moved, and then just
yeah, it was a lot.
Stuff happened. Yeah, so that's probably safe to do summer. So roughly around summer, I'm planning or want to plan a one-shot as well. But again, that's all stuff once I finalize that down the road. So lots of stuff happening now, lots of stuff happening this year. So just keep an ear and eye out either on this channel when we go live, on our YouTube, in case you miss any announcements. When we do see them here, we always do post them up on our YouTube as well as our Discord. So always check us out either way, either or. I mean, to get any additional information. Otherwise, we will be back Monday, hopefully, fingers crossed, for another Destiny Forged episode. And otherwise, we will see you guys later back here next month. Until then, you guys have a wonderful week.